Morning, all. All right, so happy Friday, December the 2nd, and all that fun stuff. We've got 3 games tonight in the NHL, which means that I'm mixing up the preview and the news video into one. So 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, we've got a start between the Ottawa Senators and the New York Rangers. And this, of course, is a rematch. On November 30th, the Rangers win 3-1 in Ottawa, so Ottawa's trying to return the favor tonight. The third and final meeting between these teams will be on March the 2nd. For Ottawa, they really need to get on a run here. They're 8-13-1. They've dropped pretty far out of the race. Over their last 10, 4-5-1, so they're not getting closer. I wanted to discuss players that don't have a goal yet this season, so it's Parker Kelly for the Ottawa Senators. The work ethic is there, and he's playing well enough, just no goals at this point and just the one assist. On the Rangers side, they're 11-9-4. Their last 10 games, they're 5-4-1. Ryan Lindgren had 3 assists in the last game. He's now up to 8 overall, but he does not have a goal as of yet. So maybe he will do so tonight and prove that, hey, against the Ottawa Senators, he's a pretty good offensive player. But that's going to be an interesting one. And then Nashville in against the New York Islanders. That starts at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. I'm wearing Nashville because why not? They win last night in New Jersey. Now they're against the Islanders. Maybe this is a sign the Nashville's ready to take that jump, right? So they're 11-9-2 overall, but their last 10 they're 6-3-1. So they seem to be over that problem they had when they came back from Europe, where they just couldn't beat anybody. And now we'll see how they do tonight against the Islanders. McDonough, 6 assists for him so far this year. He's had opportunities for that first goal. It hasn't happened yet. On the Islanders front, they're 15-9 overall. Their last 10 games, they are 6-4. And in general, if you win 6 out of every 10 games, you're likely going to make the playoffs. Cizikas, just the 4 assists thus far this year. I know I've talked about Cizikas in other previews too, but hey, I got him up there again. Maybe he gets a goal. November 17th, these teams met in Nashville. That was a 5-4 win for the Preds. So, yeah, I'll take the Preds to sweep the season series. Then at 8 Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, the third and final game gets started. That's right, we're done early tonight. The first of 2 meetings between Columbus and Winnipeg. The second meeting will be February the 16th. So for Columbus, they're 7-12-2 over their last 10 games. They're 4-4-2, but they're getting Laine back. They got Elvis back tonight. And Goodbranson's the one I'm going to highlight here because he's just got the 5 assists. Goodbranson, of course, signed a contract with Columbus that was a bit of a head scratcher, and I think it's still kind of a head scratcher. And I don't think he's played as well this year so far with Columbus as he did in Calgary last year. Being said, the season is still young enough that he can turn that around, and so we'll see how things go tonight. Winnipeg is 14-6-1. Their last 10 games, they're 7-3. So very consistent so far this year from Winnipeg. Brendan Dillon, just the 4 assists so far. Sure, maybe he gets a goal tonight. Again, just putting up players that don't have goals yet, just for fun, for the preview. Now we get into the news of the day. And I wanted to talk a bit about what was said last night. So Jacob Markstrom, after the game, when interviewed by reporters, which is a terrible time to interview somebody when you think about it. You just lost a big game, or at least you lost a game that was, featured on nationwide TV. And you're probably pretty ticked off, probably yourself, and then there's somebody sticking a microphone in your face. So Markstrom said, "I just suck at hockey right now." And I think that's kind of unfair. So there's something interesting with goaltenders, that when they have a mistake, Carter Hart last night, a goal goes in that shouldn't have, and it overshadows what was the rest of his game, I thought. But it is interesting because when a mistake is made by a forward, well, somebody can come back and fix that. You might have a defenseman covering. If your defenseman makes a mistake, well, your goalie can bail him out, or his other defenseman can bail him out. But when a goalie makes a mistake, the whole team kind of has to bail him out. So for Markstrom, who allows a goal early last night, that, yeah, maybe he shouldn't have, that's on the Flames for not coming back and making a real game of it and taking over. And I think it's a shame, because what happens is you end up with goaltenders that when they're having that kind of a struggle and they have that mentality about it, they can start making other mistakes because they're trying really hard to avoid that major gaffe, and then they end up with some more mistakes going on. So for Markstrom, I do hope that they get all this together and that the team rallies so that when he has a game where he gives a puck away to Connor McDavid kind of thing, that they bail him out. That's the thing. If a goaltender makes mistakes, like I still think the best goalie I've seen in my lifetime is Patrick Waugh. I didn't see Ken Dryden. But he would make mistakes, but Montreal would bail him out a lot of the time, and Colorado bailed him out a lot of the time. Hasek would make mistakes. Brodeur made mistakes. But when you have a goaltender that feels like he can't make a mistake because that's it, I do think that's creating another problem there where a goaltender might be playing okay. I think that can hurt their play overall. So hopefully the Flames do bail him out next time. Because I think, they only allowed 2 goals last night, and I can't put too much. I don't like to blame a goaltender if a team's shut out or if they only get 1 goal. Because there's definitely blame to go around. There was a nice story that was shared during the Kings broadcast last night. I haven't seen this, general media circles. So Cal Peterson being sent down by the LA Kings isn't to damn him for his contract. It's not a sign that he's on the market. Rob Blake knew that contract would get through waivers. Nobody's picking up a $5 million cap hit on a goaltender, having to waive somebody else, having to do the cap gymnastics. For a guy who in Peterson has been struggling. So the plan is to get him down to Ontario and get his confidence back. Drew Doughty apparently had a pep talk with him and told him, Cal, you go down, you do what you got to do. We need you here. We want you back as soon as possible. And that's nice. Peterson had a rough year last year too, and I don't know if it's something physical. I don't know if it's something that's just psychological. Again, with goaltenders, it can be psychological, right? Because of that feeling of I can't afford to make a mistake. Oh, the last game still, I'm ticked off of how I played in that game. And so it can kind of snowball from there. So they want Peterson to go down to Ontario, play well, and then come back up and play for them. So at this point, there's no discussion of changing the goaltenders. They've got Phoenix Copley brought up as a backup. He can play. He's a veteran. That's part of the reason why you want to have a veteran in the minors. In the instance of either a goaltending injury or something like this, right? You want to make sure you have 3 guys who can play just in case. And there's some teams that have that and some that don't. But I do hope Peterson gets this game back. He was one of my favorite goalies, I want to say 5 years ago. And it has been a real trouble for him over the last year and a half now. And so hopefully he gets this game back in the AHL. Interesting news on the Montreal Canadiens. Pierre LeBrun, Darren Dreger discussing whether or not Monahan might stay in Montreal. That they brought him in from Calgary. It was a cap dump by Calgary. And that Montreal didn't really have any plans around Monahan and, might look to flip him. And that may still be the case. But they're at least considering keeping him, re-signing him. And they like his play on the ice. They like how he behaves off the ice around his teammates and such. And so they may very well decide to keep him. I think it's going to be a matter of putting him on the market, see what the offers are. If there's an offer that they can't refuse, then he gets traded. But other than that, yeah, he might stick around. And it's been nice to see Monahan back and playing again. It's been nice to see him enjoying the game again. I think there was a lot of stressors on him in Calgary that last year, and I think the injuries too, right? So there's things that led to Monahan's play dropping off. But it would be kind of nice to see him stick around in Montreal. I'm going to be honest. I think he fits in pretty well with what Kent Hughes is doing there. As this team is far better than it has any right to be at this stage. I don't know how intentional that is, again, by the GM. I really think it's Marty St. Louis' coaching style that's made that work. I give him a lot of credit. Caden Gooley, for anybody who's worried, apparently he was fine. He got hurt last night. Almost at the end of the game, he blocked a shot from Michael Stone that was 95 miles an hour. It went off his foot. But apparently he's okay. So it's one of those injuries that if it had happened in the first period, he probably would have come back and played in the rest of the game. But because it happened so late, we didn't see that take place. So it's always scary to see a guy limping down the hall, but it would appear that Gooley's okay. Tyler Bertuzzi, on the other hand, who took a puck to the hand late in the third period of the game against Buffalo, he's had surgery. And so he took a puck to the hand. Now he's had surgery. He's out for 6 weeks. So Bertuzzi had only been back for 7 games since his last injury, and now he's back on the injured list. It just feels like with Bertuzzi, the way he plays the game, he may be more likely to get injured than others. And so Detroit's going to have to absorb that loss for the next 6 weeks. And then you got to think he'll come back, and you wrap him in bubble wrap and hope he doesn't get hurt again. But his play, too, he only had the 3 points in the 7 games since coming back. He looked like he was starting to get his game back, and now he gets hurt. So hopefully in 6 weeks he comes back fully healthy and good to go. Stamkos last night, of course, reached 1,000 points. Huge milestone for Steven Stamkos. Really nice to see the way that his teammates celebrated with him. And it's interesting because over the years there have been times when Stamkos, there was discussion of whether or not he might stay in Tampa, whether or not that might end up being a capped up at some point. And of course, when he signed that contract, before that, there was a lot of discussion about whether or not he might leave Tampa, and he didn't. He re-signed. And I think he's got to be pretty happy he re-signed. Those 2 cup rings got to be pretty nice. So reaching 1,000 points is excellent. I always appreciate a player reaching 1,000 points with one single team. And there will be a career video done on Stamkos when he reaches 500 goals, which should be over the next few weeks with the way he's playing. So, because he's at 494 right now, I think it is. So, 6 goals, that'll probably take about 3 weeks. He's good. So, yeah, all the best to Stamkos, and pretty amazing achievement considering the injuries he had not that long ago and the discussions about whether or not his offensive game might drop off as a result. No update at the time where I'm recording this on Thatcher Demko's status. This, of course, is upsetting. Now, I mentioned with the Kings, they had Phoenix Copley they could bring up. Canucks don't really have that. So if Demko's going to be out for a prolonged period, I would think the Canucks would go out and pick up a goaltender. I don't know who you pick up. I mean, if they wanted to, I'm sure Dallas would give him Anton Khudobin, but that creates other headaches for a Canucks team that's already up against the cap and only works if you're putting Demko on LTIR, and then it doesn't work when he comes off of it. But yeah, Demko's status is unknown. He was off to a rough start. It's too bad because before that 3-goal, just the avalanche of goals by the Panthers last night in that third period before he got hurt, up until that first goal went in, I thought, well, at least Demko's having a good game. The Canucks aren't, but Demko is. And then that happened. So, really, Murphy's Law with the Canucks this season, it really is. Whatever could possibly go wrong has seemed to go wrong, especially over the last couple of games. And Bruce Boudreau saying he can't understand how a team can look so good one week and so bad the next week. And my answer to that is, well, they're the Canucks, right? So, yeah, it's something I've been watching since the early '80s. So it does happen, and now with Demko's injury, we'll see what happens. We'll see. Maybe this is what'll cause the GM to say, yeah, all right, so we're selling. Maybe that'll be it, right? But I also do wonder how long Bruce Boudreau has left. There's been enough talk about whether or not Boudreau might end up out of Vancouver, that where there's smoke, there's fire, that kind of thing. Jason Robertson, just absolutely amazing first quarter to the season. It's continuing now into December. He gets the hat trick last night. He's now at 22 goals. He's leading the NHL. I don't know that he's going to relinquish that. I know McDavid is going to try to chase him down. Matthews, you got to think, is going to go on a streak at some point here. But Robertson's just been fantastic. He's on a 17-game point streak now. And he just seems to have this knack for just, well, I can score here, so I will. And he doesn't have a spot. There isn't just like one kind of goal he scores either. It's he's just always around the net. He likes to shoot the puck in the net, and right now he's the number 1 goal scorer, and it's kind of fun to watch him do so for Dallas. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always, including your winners from tonight's games. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.